If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we are continuing on with our Laravel Breeze vehicle project. And today I want to start setting up the create a vehicle functionality. The first thing that I want to do is I want to set up a route. So we'll do that in the web routes and then we'll hook it up to the controller and then to the front end. Let's go over to the text editor and start working on that. The thing that we're going to need to do is head over to our web routes, and right under this route, we can go ahead and create another one. And we're going to call it vehicles/create. And this is going to be to the create function that's in the controller. Let's head over to the controller and start taking a look and seeing what that is. We've already done the index function, and the index function is just to display the listing of whatever the resource is. So for us, our resource in this case are vehicles. Now, the create function is what shows the form for creating the new resource. Now, if you're doing something like an API, you don't actually need this page because chances are you'll be dealing with modals or something to that effect where you're sort of reusing the same form, which is not what we're doing. So this create is going to actually go to a page. Now, for us, what we can do is just return the view of vehicles create. And we don't have to pass in a vehicle because we're creating a vehicle, so there's no vehicle to actually pass in through here. So let's go ahead and make that page be under resources, use. We have a vehicles folder in here. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this one. Just call it create.blade.php. We actually don't need, this has vehicles up here, and we're not going to have the vehicle count. And for now, I'm just going to comment out the rest of this just so that we can see something on the page. Let's go to our index and create the link to that, which would be this create a vehicle button here. This button is going to take us to that create page. On here, we can just do route vehicles create. Let's give it a try. So we are on the vehicles create. Let's go ahead and fill in the rest of this. Now, since we already have kind of a layout here and we have the installed files, the installed assets that I gave you that are in the description if you don't have them, we can go ahead and use that to fill this in. If we open that up and we go to pages, we go to vehicles, and then we have create right here. And this is our navigation. This is the page heading. The only thing that we really need to do is just grab this H2 in here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And in here, we can get rid of all of this because we're going to have a different sort of header for this. And that should be good. Okay, there we go. We have create a vehicle up here, and we don't need anything there because we're going to have a form. Next thing that we can do here is grab that. Is right here. The outside div for it as well. Here we have that, and that's where we are going to be pasting this in. Let's take a look and see what we have. Well, if we go up a bit, we have a method for post. This is our make model, price the year, and then we have the label and inputs for these, and also a place for the error messages. But I want to make sure that we don't have any links because we don't want anything to break. We are just trying to look at it. An image, and for now I'm just going to comment this out just so that we can test a few things. Same thing for error. This cancel is going to go back to our index page, so we can just do that here. And a create button. Okay, so this is essentially what it's going to look like. We're going to have two columns with a description and with some error messages. Then we have a cancel button to go back to the index page, and then a create button to submit the form. Let's go work on straightening out our form. Typically, when we submit a form, we're submitting it to a route that hits the controller, and that's what gives us some kind of response. So in the web route, we need to create another route. I'm going to copy this one. This one is going to be a post route, and then it's going to be post vehicles, and this will be the store function. So in the store, you can see this is how we are storing the resource with this store function, and the request is already in there. So for now, I just want to we'll return request just because I want to see what's coming through. So in the create, you need an action. This action will be that route. Because we're using the Blade templating agent, we'll also need SRF, and that's for cross-site request forgery attacks. This is to prevent that from happening through our form. Right, so the label is already set. We have make, we have the input ID of make, also has a name of make, and it's a type of text. And we can actually use these components because we have an input label here, and then we also have text input. So that's something that we can use here. Instead of label here, I'm going to put X input label. Can stay the same. Don't need anything for the class because that's already been styled. And then the value, we can do underscore underscore make. And I'm only leaving that because this is part of our translation. So if you have a translation string in here and you set up languages, then you'll be able to use that here. And that's what these input components already have built in or baked in. So I'm just going to add that in here. Means we don't need this. Do the same thing for the text input component. This is just closing it off so that we don't have to have the opening and closing tags. This also represents a closing tag. What do we need from here? We need the ID. Type, make the autofocus and the auto. And then we also need a class, but we don't need everything here because that's already baked into the component. Go ahead and paste that in. Everything for the input. Do the same thing for the class. Messages. Which means now we can get rid of this one because input errors are styled. Take a look. You can see now it has some better styling on that one and it doesn't message. Why don't we try to, let's click that. You can see we don't actually have anything in here yet, but we also don't have any validation set up. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to finish doing all the rest of these with the exception of the image, and then I'll come back here. And I have done them all, like I said, with the exception of image. And I have also added this text area in here as well. I kept that the same way it is, but I added the input error and the input label because I do want to show you how to make a component, but really that's all I've done. And as you can see, everything is pretty much the same thing with the using the components. Let's go ahead and create a component for this. Typically what I do is, especially since they give us the components, is I like to create a new folder. I'm going to call it custom. Say text. Yeah. Input.blade.php. So like with other components, right? Go ahead and copy this. I'd paste it in. And here, instead of input, I'll put text area. The attributes are the same because they're classes for the styling of the text area. They're just the classes in coloring for the text area, but they don't give any information with sizing or anything like that. Now in here, you can go ahead and just do text custom dot text area input, close it off. Come to here and just grab sizing and positioning classes. Get rid of this. Go and see if it still looks the same. I have some styling in here because I do need the closing tag here. Also, we need it here because this is a text area. This is just a little bit of a quirk when it comes to text area. You have to put a slot in here so that I can display what's in this right here. So let's just go make sure we fix this. So now there's nothing here. Something that we also do need to put is an old, and this is in Laravel Blade. When a user types something in an input, we want to make sure that if they move or anything like that, that information is still in here. These we can put, these values will be old. This first one it'll be make. I didn't copy this one in here. So if they're filling the form, they press submit, get an error in this information. So with the text area, it's a bit different. This is where you put it. On the tag, you put it within the tag. Make. Don't need the colon in these. It's because I'm used to using JavaScript. Before we put any fancy validation on it, go ahead and try to create. Go over to the controller. I just want to make sure that we're getting these to fill in some information. Okay, and you can see we're getting all the fields that we can. Keeping super simple. I'm gonna do vehicle, create. And what do we have so far? We have a make, and that'll be the request make. And we have model, year, price, description. I also need the image. Now again, we're going to deal with uploading images in a bit. What I want to do is just kind of fake it, because it does not say that we can have this a nullable field. So we do want to put something in it. And for now, I'm just going to grab from the factory this set of images. And then we can use this same array random function in the controller. Is that in random images? And then turn to route vehicles. For now, we'll just do it back to vehicles index. This imported, which it did, illuminate support array. So let's go ahead. Whether we have a submit, have our method, we have our action, and we have our CSRF. So let's go ahead and try it. The information that we have, go ahead, create. This first one, because all of our all the ones that we seeded have at least 3 sentences in the description, and we only had a couple of words. We look at the database, we go to vehicles and see this is the new one that we just created. This last one down here, that just confirms that we were able to make it. Why don't we make it so that we can use real images? Go down and see what we have here. Go ahead and comment this out. This image is going to be no image. Do the asset. In this case, it is single quote. Let's just see what we have. So we have a broken image here. Does it say no image? This is where our temporary image is going to go. But in the event that we don't have a temporary image, this is the temporary image. In order to keep this as simple as possible, we are going to be doing things very step by step. So the first thing that I want to point out is that because we are using form in Laravel Blade, we do have to let this form know that we have something other than just a standard input or text or number or whatever it is, that we're going to try to interact with our server with this. And our image is a type of file. In the form, we'll put enc type. It is a MIME type. It is to interact with the HTML. So for our case, we're going to put multi-part form data, and that's just going to let the server know that we are using something from the HTML that is some sort of a type other than the standard inputs. That's the first part. If we go down to what we're doing with the image, we're not going to be worrying about the preview just yet. We'll do that in a bit, but right now I want to focus on being able to upload this file. The other thing that we can do is on our input, we can say accept equals image and pretty much any image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to allow people to upload any images that they want, whether it's a PNG, whether it's a, doesn't really matter because we're going to convert it before it even gets to the database to a JPG file. So for now, let's go over to the vehicle controller. We can now remove this and remove test file because it is a file image. Let's see what we get first. So as you can see here, there's a lot of information that we could potentially use to manipulate how we receive this image and what we do with it. So it has the original name, the MIME type, and it's a JPEG. There's just a lot of information in here, which isn't really a huge deal for us because we are going to change how this image gets brought in. Get rid of this. And then we can say if test as file image, we can take that file equals request file image, and we've created a new variable. So then we can say file name equals, we'll use the string, say UUID, because that's how I want these to be named. I want them to have a random string. UUIDs are pretty good for this type of thing. And that's that. JPG. Let's go ahead and import this before I forget. And it is Illuminate support string. So we're getting the file. We're changing the name of the file, and we're not going to worry about putting it in storage just yet. We are going to change the file name. And I use that file name, and that's what we're going to insert into the database, this string UUID, and we'll deal with the path later because we're not actually putting it in our app yet. We're just getting the string really. So as you can see, since we're not calling it from the database, we're getting an empty thing in here. We don't have an image. But if we go to the database and we refresh it, you see now we have a UUID for the image, and it is a .jpg. So we've taken care of being able to add the path to the database. What we can do is work on adding it to our storage file or folder. So the storage, we want it to be storage app public, and we can put it in this images folder. And that folder will be alongside the defaults. It won't be in it, it'll be alongside it, so they'll be in here. How we can do that is calling the storage, and this is a facade, be sure to import that, and then we'll put file as in public images file name. So this file property here, this is the image. This is the link that we're getting from the front end when we update it, or not link, but this is the file itself. We're going to be using the storage facade to put the file as in the public images folder with the file name, and we're using the file to do that. Let's go ahead, add a semicolon here, and then everything is still good. Let's go ahead, try this, and then we're going to come back and take a look at this images folder in here and see how this is working. Ahead and fill it. We'll deal with the error messages and the styling on this choose file thing in a bit. Grab a vehicle, create. Okay, again, we're not seeing it, but we will deal with that in a bit. If we go and look in our app, public images, now we have this new vehicle, which has a UUID, and it's a .jpg as well. But this is the image that we just uploaded. So now we have access to it in the storage. Now, you can go ahead, close that. And in the Create blade, I want to set it up so that we can preview the image here because right now we just have the no image. As I said, we have access to Alpine.js. If you go to the resources.js, app.js, window Alpine, it's already been installed because that's how we did our installation. Alpine was already installed when we installed Breeze. So we have access to that anywhere in our project, which means that on this div, we can do X data equals. I am not a huge user of Alpine JS, so I'm going to try to explain things as best I can. But what we want to do is put some curly brackets in here and open this up. Here we have an image source where we're using the no image. So what I want to do is I want to grab this. And I'm going to bring it up to this here. I'm going to create a variable or property and call it image source. And I'm going to say with backticks, this is either the vehicle image, the asset storage images, no image thing. I'm going to go ahead, copy this image source property. And then if we come down to where we're displaying this image, do this image source. And then here with Alpine, we have something that we can use called xbind source. And then we'll paste in that image source property. I'm going to go ahead and comment this out, and we can even use this styling. Let's go and actually see what's happening on this page. Okay, good. Well, we still have the temporary image. Go ahead, refresh for good measure just to make sure that it's not just some sort of magic. Let's work on making this change. We basically have to trigger an event when we click this choose file to do something with this preview. When we go up to the input isn't just inserting anything at that time, it's just reacting to things. So we can do @change equals, and we'll create a function that we'll just call preview file. This is a big brain function right here. So we're going to come up here, we're going to add a comma, and then I'm going to put preview file. This is a function, and then we can create a variable called file equals this refs image file dot files. And I'm going to console log this so we can see what that is. You do need to grab this ref. So in the input is where we can do that. I'll do it before the change. We'll say xref equals. That means that we can interact with the DOM. Open up the inspection tools, and I'll go ahead and click that. So now we're getting the file. To explain what file is, it's kind of just a universal interface that works with JavaScript and HTML in order to get information about files, right? As you can see, as I opened it up, we have the last modified date. So we have a lot of valuable information that will allow us to use different functions to get different information about these files. That's all that basically is. The most important thing is that we're getting the name, the type, the size, stuff like that. Now, because we're using JavaScript, which Alpine JS is, it's JavaScript, it's allowing you to use small little bits of JavaScript within HTML so that it's not a huge framework. So that's one of the benefits of using Alpine JS. It can be useful for not too small but not too big features that include JavaScript. We have a file. We have const reader. That's going to be another variable that we have. And then we can say that this is new file reader. Again, because we're calling file, we have access to these functions. I'm going to put some semicolons here just because I'm not sure if it's going to throw errors if there's not. And then we can do reader onload equals an event, and this event will equal this image source is this one right up here, and that will equal target result. You can do reader read as data URL file. Let's console log this. It's going to have it be asset. This isn't going to work. I don't know what I was thinking. Go ahead, paste it here. Now we can console log the file. Let's try this. So any image that we put will now be changed within the preview. I'm going to go ahead, get rid of this. The thing that I want to do on this is I want to change, and get rid of this. I want to change this input type. I realized that while I'm recording that I forgot to put the styling for the new input that we're going to use. So I'm just going to go ahead, open up components, custom, and then I'll create another file called file input. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it in. I also didn't do it for the toggler, but what I'll do is once I get up to that video, then I'll go ahead and put both of these files within the download link, and then I'll just update the descriptions or whatever so that you guys have the new link. But don't worry about it now. If you need to get this one because it's shorter, you can pause the video, grab it, and then you'll have this one for now. But by the time we get to toggler, you'll have it in the download link. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and grab this one really quick so that we have some scaffolding what we're doing here. And this will be image. We can get rid of this. This will now be file input. The way these work is just whatever folder you're in will precede the dot and then file input. Because these other inputs aren't in any specific folder other than components, you don't need to put like components dot. They're already acknowledged as components. File input. This will be the image. You don't need any of this because we have styling in here for that. And then this will also be image. I'm going to need these things. Name, CDP. Type is already going to be in here. So we don't need to add that. We can also get rid of this because we can just use the closing tag like that. Just go ahead now and delete this. See what it looks like. In here. You can grab this and I'll put it value equals that in. This will be image. So that's what it looks like. And also, I'm going to put width full on that. Now, we also don't have any validation or anything on here. So why don't we go ahead and work on that? I think we're done with everything in here. We can do the validation. So the first thing I want to do is request validate. This is going to be an array. Easily, I'm just going to grab these. I'm going to highlight these. This one really is just that they're going to be required. Grab this and do the same thing for the image. Now the year is not only going to be required, it's also going to be numeric. Then we want a min of, there's a date function that we can use that comes in from Carbon. And the date is going to be just the year that's a capital Y. And then we'll say minus 100. Then the max is going to be date Y plus 1. I know this might seem a bit strange, which is why I'm doing it, but basically what this is saying is that the min is going to be minus 100 years from today's date. So any vehicle, we are in 2024, so any vehicle from 1924 to 2024 is going to be the minimum that we're going to allow. And for our max, going to be whatever the current date is now, plus a year, 2025. So we'll have from 1924 to 2025. If you're driving a vehicle from 1924 and we decide to sell that on our website, then we have a vehicle from 1924 that we're selling on our website. I think we're getting from PHP. I know I said Carbon, but I think it's just standard PHP. It's been a while since I just did vanilla PHP. You can always look it up. So now the price is just the price. It doesn't really affect us because we have an unsigned big integer, so we can take a pretty hefty set of cents. The description is also required. The image is required. And we want to make sure that it is an image. And we're saying that the max will be 5,120. And this is basically 5 megabytes. That's what this is calculating because Laravel is doing it in kilobytes. In order to see these validation rules, Laravel, at this point in time of me recording this video, no longer has the validation rules really accessible. Now, the easiest way to do that is to do artisan lang publish. Now, this is a command that creates a lang folder, and this lang folder has not only our validation, but it has some files that will call for the translations. Now, we're not going to be doing that. I did a whole series on translations on both Laravel Blade as well as, I think I did it for Vue. I can't remember. I have already done translation, so I'm not going over it here. But it also brings up this file, which is the validation.php. This file has a list of all of the available validation rules within Laravel. Now, the one we're looking for is a max of 5,120. And let's check and see where that would be. We have an image, so the file must be an image. And then we have a min. What we're dealing with the image is a file. And so our validation should be the image or whatever it is must not be greater than so many kilobytes. And because we're doing it by kilobytes, 5,120 kilobytes is 5 megabytes. And I think that's enough for an image, really. And that's pretty much it for that. Let's go and see if our validation works for the creation. We have our first thing here, the type of array. Let's try this. So as you can see, we have validation for pretty much everything, including the description and the image. So let's see what our validation will do for an image that's too large. I think this one, let's try it. The image field must not be greater than 520 kilobytes. Perfect. Typically, this would be fine to leave in here. Our controller, this function isn't really too big. We can see it all in one screen. But the issue is that I want to use this validation also with our edit, which means that we can create a request to handle our validation, which means we can take this right out of here. We'll open up the terminal, and then we'll do make test vehicle. Well, I'll do this. Help. And the make request allows you to make the name of a request. So you can create a class to basically deal with our forms. Let's try this again. Call it vehicle form request, and that has been created in our app HTTP requests vehicle form request. And as you can see, there's some already here for the profile and the authentication. But the first thing that I want to do is this function right here needs to be changed to true. And it needs to be changed to true because it's saying if the user is authorized to make this request, we want to say yes. In the rules, we can now just go ahead and grab this, paste it in here. Now we can get rid of this altogether. And then instead of request here, we'll say vehicle form request. And that has been imported up top. So we can also get rid of this array. And we're using the request in other places right now, so we don't have to get rid of that, but we should be good. So our validation should really work the same. There we go. We have our validations still showing up correctly. Two more things that I do want to address. And the first thing is we'll go to the vehicles index. Now here I have a session where we're temporarily displaying success message. And now we can utilize this vehicle to be returned back to this index page, displaying whatever message we put in. So here, instead of vehicles index, we can do with success. And I want to put the vehicle year. We don't actually have yet. We'll create a variable called vehicle. Say vehicle year. And we'll concatenate it with space. And here we'll say vehicle make and the vehicle model has been created. When we return back, we'll have a success message and it'll have the vehicle year make model has been created. Let's try that really quick. To put it in here. Index. Instead of success message in here, it'll actually be value. this one has been returned. The other thing is that we don't have our images in here. Is fine. We're still using the Unsplash. That'll be easy. Here we can grab this, change this now to asset, and go here. I mean, it should go here, but I don't think that's the right images. Let's see if we're getting an error. Yeah, it's getting an error because all the rest of them are still in there. So let's go ahead, open up the terminal. Didn't we see the database? We'll go ahead and create a new user. So we don't have any vehicles. We'll go ahead, create. This is because of that. Right, now we have our image here. Now, I know I said I had 2 more things, which I did, but I have an additional 2 more things that I want to do. This image, again, as we're using the vehicle images, we can also extract this. So I'm going to grab this. We'll go to the vehicle model. Again, we can create another attribute. I'll go ahead, paste that in for right now. I'll copy this. And instead of the vehicle's calculated price, we'll do vehicles custom image. And that's what we'll call this one, custom image. Now, instead of returning a new attribute in this way, I'm going to do return attribute get function. This function it'll have a string return type, curly brackets. Then we'll go ahead and add a semicolon to that. So now we can return this image, and this image will either be one of 2 things. First, if we have that image in the database, then we can do asset, storage, images, and we'll have this attributes image. And then, I don't know why I copied this. We don't need it, but we can copy this one. If there is no image, then we can get rid of that and have it be defaults. No image.jpg, because that's the image that we have if there's no image. That's the default. Now we can use this in our files. Means that here we can do vehicle, do it like this. Okay, so we should still have this image. Great, it's still being called correctly. But also, based on what we have now, we can go to create and add that same thing to this image thing here. Go ahead, just paste that in. Now, the last thing that I want to do is index. I had put here, and I mentioned it in the previous video, that I had a if vehicles count, and we don't actually need that anymore because with the pagination, it'll only display if those conditions are met. If I refresh this, we won't actually see our pagination. But if we remigrate and we see the database, I know we're going to get all kinds of errors, but just to show you that now we'll have the pagination in there. So if we go down to the bottom, you can see the pagination is in there. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.